Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for joining in for our Bhagavad Gita study session. So let's start with prayers. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namusate Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langayate girim yatrapadamakam vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tarale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining in. We are on chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita. So we were discussing yesterday how Krishna is giving us ways and means how we can go back to him. Why? Because Krishna is more interested than us to get us back to the spiritual world, because Krishna is missing us, isn't it? Like we were talking the other day about students who after 12th standard they get admissions elsewhere, right? And then they just leave. For them it is something very interesting, something very enjoyable, adventurous that's coming up, so they happily go. But the parents, the mothers who are at home, they miss the child, right? They want the child to come back, finish their education, come back fast, isn't it? They are enjoying themselves. So and of course the child also it may not get the garka khana and all that, so they may also miss and they want to come back home. But the parents are more interested in getting their child back home, right? अच्छी तरह से पढ़ाई करके जल्दी से वापस आ जाए, isn't it? Similarly, the Lord is also like they've done some mistake, so they're sending them to a place for reformation, but I want them to come back as soon as possible. Sometimes we also feel, oh my God, why am I suffering so much here? I should go back to that Lord's abode where there is eternal peace and happiness. But then the Lord is more keen, just like the parents are more keen, the Lord is also more keen for us to go back home, back to God. And that's why the Lord is telling us ways and means how we can go back home, back to Godhead. So yesterday we did the last verse, we did 8.5, which says, Antakali chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nati atra samshayaha. Wherein Krishna is saying, at the end of your life, if you remember me, you will come back to me without a doubt, right? And then in the next verse, if you don't think of Krishna, then what happens, right? Whatever you think that state you will attain faith. So that's what Krishna is going to start speaking or continue speaking in verse number 6 of chapter number 8. So let's quickly go on to 8.6 from where we have to start today. Yeah. Okay. I already see some hands up for reading. Let's ask Sridhar Prabhu. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Dandavata Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavata Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajayanti kalevaram tam tamedi kaundeya sada dat bhava bhavidaha. Hare Krishna. Synonymous. Yam yam, whatever, va api, at all, smaran, remembering, bhavam, nature, tajati, give up, ane, at the end, kalevaram, this body, tam, similar, eva, certainly, yet, yadi, gets, kaundeya, O son of Kundi, sada, always, that, bhava, state of being, bhavati, remembering. Hare Krishna. Translation by Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kundi, that state he will attain without fail. Purport. The process of chanting one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body thinking of Krishna attains the transcendental nature of Supreme Lord. But it is not true that a person who thinks something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. This is the point we should note very carefully. How can one die in the proper state of mind? Maharaja Bharata, although a great personality, thought of a deer at the end of his life. And so in his next life, he was transferred to a body of a deer. Although as a deer, he remembered his past activities. He had to accept that animal body. Of course, one's thought during the course of one's life accumulate in influence of one's thought at the moment of death. So this life increase one's next life. If one present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always think of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. That will help one be transferred to the transcendental nature of Krishna. If one is transcendentally absorbed in Krishna's service, then his next body will be transcendental, that is spiritual, not material. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare is the best process of the successfully changing one state of being at the end of one's life. Hare Krishna, Dandavata Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Dandavata Pranam. So, Prabhupada is saying here, Prabhupada is explaining here, whatever we think throughout our life, right? The sum total of all of our thoughts, that is what flashes in our in front of our eyes, and that is what we will think at the time of death, right? And one more point is Krishna himself says, Yam yam vapi smaran, whatever you think at the end of the life, that state you will attain without fail. So, there are some people who say that whatever I want, I will do, but at the end of the life, I will think of Krishna. Because Ajamil called out the name of Narayan like that only. Right? Ajamil, Acharya has explained, is an exception. It is not that everybody, if we name our son or daughter as Narayana or Lakshmi, and then we happily do all sinful activities, and at the end of our life, we call our son or daughter. It doesn't work that way, right? Even Ajamil, for that reason, called out the name of Narayan only with the mercy of Lord Narayan. Right? One is because he did not commit offense on the strength of, calling his son or daughter. That was one. Second thing is, by our own endeavor, we cannot think of anything at the time of death, right? Because we are so much conditioned by our thoughts during the life that at the time of death, those things only will come. Whatever we have been attached to during the life, whomever we have turned to shelter during our life, that person only we will think. That is why we should always be dependent only on Krishna, knowing that there will be several instruments through which Krishna provides, but ultimately it is Krishna who is providing everything. That understanding we would reiterate ourselves so that our attachment to Krishna deepens and develops very strongly. That's very, very important. Why? Because whomever we consider as our shelter, that person or that thing, whatever it may be, that only we will remember. And that is ordained by Lord, right? And who are we to think that I will be smart enough to think something else? Right? Then we are greatest fools. Avajananti Mahamudha Manashim Tanum Ashritam. Only those who are bewildered by Maya, they only think that the Lord is also influenced by Maya. And then when this Maya covering is removed, I will also become God. That is the greatest foolishness, right? That is why we have this attitude of trying to control things, trying to what do you call, enjoy everything. I should be the one who's enjoying everything. Of course, there is no rule that we should not enjoy anything in life, right? We are all Anandamaya Abhyasat, but we should know how to enjoy. We should know how to dovetail it in the service of the Lord so that our enjoyment stays, and then we don't cause our own downfall in the name of enjoyment, right? That's why these are all important things that we need to understand, that whatever I do, it remains, there is a, the gallery view, as they say, right? The gallery view at the end of the life will be the gallery view of all the whatever snapshots you've taken in your mind. And that is all the activities that we perform throughout our life. Those appear as snapshots. And when we look at that snapshot as we die, then one of those snapshots, whichever is very prominent, that state will attain. If that state is, the lordships or some seva that we've been doing, that we're so attached doing, right? That's why I was hearing one class, they were saying at least one seva we should have in such a way that we forget the entire world. It could be singing bhajans, it could be stringing garlands, it could be cooking for the Lord, it could be doing abhishek for the Lord, it could be doing arati for the Lord, it could be dressing the deities, it could be buying flowers for the Lord, whatever it is, right? Something that is exclusively for the Lord. We should have something, which we can do 1 to 2 hours in a day, and we don't need to be told to do it. Like, some people, if you can develop that for chanting, it is the best. But unfortunately, that taste is not there for chanting. They're simply chanting 1 to 2 hours. Even Ekadashi takes 3-4 hours, 4-5 hours, and then they are like, okay, 32 rounds karna hai, 64 rounds karna hai, right? That is very good, right? Because we're doing it for the pleasure of the Lord, although it does not give us enjoyment. But we should have some seva, something that we do for the pleasure of the Lord, which does not give us enjoyment, right? In the sense, we are happy to do that activity, but we are doing it for the pleasure of the Lord, right? For example, we can just sit down and, take the Vaishnava songbook and can sing, say, for example, 1 or 2 hours. I'm not saying every day you have to sing for 2 hours or something, but, if you're feeling stressed, if some things are boggling you, then you should have something that you can relax and take your mind off it and surrender to the Lord, right? Like, for example, you can sing, or some people just cook for the Lord, offer some nice bhoga to the Lord, right? Or some people, string some nice garlands. Some people just go and get some nice flowers and they offer it to the Lord. Some people dress the deities, whatever. But, it should be out of I, there should not be any I in that picture. So when we are serving the Lord like that, and we become attached to some service like that, then there's a greater prominence that we will think about that seva at the end of our life. Because every day we like to do that. It's not that I'm forcing myself to do also. But some seva I like, but I do it for the pleasure of the Lord, and I can be absorbed in that seva, where my heart and mind are completely absorbed. In such a seva, if we have, then definitely we will be able to, because we'll be thinking about that seva only. Like, we will be turning to that only as shelter when something goes wrong, right? And then we will want to go back to that seva whenever time permits, right? We finish all the other things and then we want to do this for the pleasure of the Lord. So in that way, when our heart is glued to something, it is but natural that we spend our entire living year thinking about it, and by naturally we will think about that at the time of death. And if that becomes really possible, then we'll be able to remember the Lord and go back to God, isn't it? Yeah, so like that. So yam vapi smaran bhavam, right? Atyajati anta kalevaram. Whatever we remember at the time of death, that state we will attain without fail. Right? Therefore, next verse, right? This is exactly what we were discussing, right? Mam anusmara yudhyacha. We perform our battles. We are not running to any forest and, trying to escape from things. That's why Krishna is saying, therefore. That means you have to remember me at the time of death. Whatever you remember throughout your life, that is what you will remember at the time of death. Therefore, what are you supposed to do? Therefore, you are supposed to do your duty, everyday duty, but remember me while doing that. In that way, you will always remember me as you perform your regular duties, and then you will come back to me, right? That way. All right. So let's quickly, let me share my screen. Am I sharing my screen already? No. Okay. Let's move on to 8.7. Yeah, tasmat means therefore, O Arjuna, what are you supposed to do? Rishabhanu Kanya Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
Mataji, are you
That's
unmute? Yeah, you unmuted yourself. I'm not able to hear you. I hope it's not a speaker issue today also.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Audible, Mataji?
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so everybody, whoever, Rohini Mataji or Karpakuli Mataji, are you able to hear this? Rishabhanu Kanya Mataji,
Hare
okay.
Krishna. Okay, Mataji?
Fine, just give me 1 second.
Okay.
I don't know what is wrong with this speaker. Every time it's in class only it goes off. Okay, devotees, you just give me 1 second. Let me log into the mobile. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, am I audible? Okay, I have to check if you all are audible.
Yes, Mataji, you are audible.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Green, Mataji.
Yeah.
Green sharing.
Yeah. Text number 8. 7. Sorry.
7. Yes. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mama anusmarayutta cha mayarpito manor buddhir mamevashyasya sansayah. Synonyms. Tasmat, therefore. Sarvesu, at all. Kalesu, times. Mama, me. Anusmara, go on remembering. Yudhya, fight. Tya, also. Mai, unto me. Arpita, surrendering. Manaha, mind. Buddha, intellect. Mama, unto me. Eva, surely. Isyasi, you will attain. Asmasyaha, beyond a doubt. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting with your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. You will attain me without doubt. These instructions to Arjun is very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them at the same time. Think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's name, one will be transferred to the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, without a doubt.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
how did Arjuna was not chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare during the war, right? Every time you take one arrow, one Mahamantra, then only I will shoot the arrow. Then what happens? Yeah, the opponent will kill him and go away, right? Nobody is going to wait, isn't it? Okay, one arrow. Now you chant, right? Only then, in fact, they will make him not chant also because they don't want him to win, right? So that is not how Arjuna remembered Krishna at the time of war. How did he remember Krishna? By following Krishna's instructions, by working for Krishna, right? So that is why we do when the Arjuna and all the other soldiers, right, when they all went to the battlefield in the morning, what do? They wear their shield. I mean, they wear their armors and all that, right? Like that, we also wear our armor every day in the morning in our fight with Maya. Right? What is the armor and shield that we wear? The chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Right? The 2 hours of the day, early morning 2 hours during Brahma Murta, when we are chanting the names of Lord Sri Krishna, then what happens? We are protecting ourselves and enabling ourselves or empowering ourselves to remember the Lord or to work for the pleasure of the Lord throughout the next 22 hours. That's why the Acharyas explain your 2 hours of chanting depends, the quality of your 2 hour chanting depends on what you have been, how you've been living, the quality of your life during the remaining 22 hours. Right? If you watch movies, watch cricket match, went to sleep at 1 o'clock in the morning, then hardly will be able to wake up at 5 o'clock and chant. Even if we slept early the previous day, but then if we watch some movies, etc., right? Because they all leave impressions on us, right? And those things will come into our mind when we are chanting, right? When we are watching, we'll be thinking some dialogue, right? I was just thinking when I was just going walking, this Lata Mangeshkar songs, maybe I've not heard it for a long time. During the COVID time, we were all at home, at that time, we used to just go down in the compound for walking, etc. Right? A lot of, at that time, somebody passed away. I don't know, somebody passed away at that time. They used to play the so many Bollywood songs, especially of the 90s, right? I had not heard it for like at least we don't play those songs at home. So I've not heard it for the last 10, 12 years or 15 years. But then when those songs were playing, it was brought about so much of flashback, because at that time when I used to go to college and doing my CA, every Friday I used to go for a Bollywood movie. Every Friday, right? Work hard and play and, enjoy harder. Like that I was. So, and I used to sing all these movie songs in our society stage and all that, and so I had heard those songs and memorized also those songs so many times. It looked like I had just heard it yesterday, right? Because the songs were played and then I had not heard it for the last almost 10, 12 years. But then it seemed, right, that, all those movies, clips also I could see, this, the Kajol Ka dance, Mere Kwabo Me Jo Aaye and all that. So those things, are so vivid in our memory that even after 10, 12, 15 years, it plays back as if it happened only yesterday. So if you are going to continuously, even now, feed more and more of such materialistic inputs, and we might as well wonder how much will we focus on our chanting. That is why we should be very careful what we feed our mind, right? Of course, we are very careful what we feed our stomach, right? Because our body has to be healthy so that we perform devotional service. But as important, or if not more important than the body, is the mind, right? We have to focus. Our movement is International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We want to be conscious of Krishna. But if we feed our mind with all the junk, how are we going to be conscious of Krishna? That is very, very careful. We have to be. We have to be while performing our activities, right? Are we giving our heart to anything else other than Krishna conscious activities or Krishna, right? The moment something else precedes our attachment to Krishna or our attachment to devotional service, then there is danger there, right? You have to immediately come out of it. You have to be on the lookout, like the soldiers on the war front, right? You're always on the lookout. Is there an enemy creeping? And these are all the enemies that creep up. And Lord Krishna says, lust, anger, and greed, right? Where do they situate themselves? They situate themselves in one of the senses. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the living places of lust. Whenever it comes up, like the hoods of a snake, they come out. And what do you have to do? Like a tortoise, you have to pull all the senses inside. The tortoise does. When there is danger, the tortoise pulls its entire body into a hard shell, right? And then when there is no trouble, then it pulls out all of its sense organs, right? Prabhupada gives example in Bhagavad Gita. He also gives example in Ishopanishad, right? So in that way, we can also keep our all the senses open when we go to the temple. With the eyes, we see the deities. With the hands, we mop the temple, we sweep the temple, and then we offer obeisances, we do parikrama, all that we do. That means all of our senses have can be opened up to perform various services, right? The eyes, the ears, the nose, the skin, the what else? Yeah, the eyes, the ears, the nose, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, right? Honoring Krishna Prasadam, and skin, right? Our hands and legs, right? Everything we can engage in the service of the Lord. So we can keep all of that open. But then Monday to Friday, we are going to office. People talk about movies, people talk about cricket match, people talk about where you went shopping Saturday, Sunday. Very nice to hear. Take it through this year, out of this year, right? Unless we get into the conversation and we want to add our inputs in it, right? We can be like the tortoise, right? Detach ourselves, right? But be there, right? We talk only what is necessary. It is very important whom we give our association and whom's association we take. Our consciousness is the average of the 5 people whom we very closely interact with and whose association we take. Right? We may give association to so many people, but whose association do we take? The sum total or the average of the top 5 people whose association we take, we will become like them. We will become interested in topics that are interesting to them. Right? That's why very important. What are the kind of imprints I am bringing to my mind? Because that is going to affect my chanting. That is going to affect my devotional service. That is going to affect my taste in performing the devotional service. That is going to feed my bad dog. It's going to become more difficult for me to say yes to devotional service and no to Maya. That's why very important how I spend my time. Therefore, Krishna is saying, right? Mam anusmara yudhyacha. Perform your duties. Go to office, right? Be along with the other people. Talk. They talk. It's not necessary. We have to also contribute in everything, right? We contribute as much as is required. Talk only what is necessary. Talk only how much is necessary, and and pull your senses inside whenever there is danger. Especially we know our conditioning. What can pull us into Maya, right? For example, if I talk about some Bollywood songs with somebody, say even for my sister for that reason, right? I spend a lot of time, then I also be careful. I don't spend too much time in talking about these Bollywood songs, because that has a potential of carrying me down, carrying my mind away. I know that, right? So I keep it to the bare minimum, or we change the topic, or we talk about something else, right? So somewhere we know what are our weaknesses that can pull us down. So those places we have to be very, very careful. All right, let's move ahead. Okay, text number 8. Sudha Mataji, go ahead.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
अभ्यासयोगयुक्तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना परमं पुरुषं दिव्यं याति पार्थानुचिन्तयन्. Synonyms: Abhyasa yoga, by practice; yuktena, being engaged in meditation; chetasa, by the mind and intelligence; na anya gamina, without their being deviated; paramam, the supreme; purusham, personality of Godhead; divyam, transcendental; yati, one achieves; partha, O son of Pritha; anuchintayan, constantly thinking of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. Purport. In this verse, Lord Krishna stresses the importance of remembering him. One's memory of Krishna is revived by chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna. By this practice of chanting and hearing the sound vibration of the Supreme Lord, one's ear, tongue, and mind are engaged. This mystic meditation is very easy to practice, and it helps one attain the Supreme Lord. Purusham means enjoyer. Although living entities belong to the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord, they are in material contamination. They think themselves enjoyers, but they are not the Supreme Enjoyer. Here it is clearly stated that the Supreme Enjoyer is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his different manifestations and plenary expansions as Narayana, Vasudeva, etc. The devotee can constantly think of the object of worship, the Supreme Lord, in any of his features, Narayana, Krishna, Rama, etc., by chanting Hare Krishna. This practice will purify him, and at the end of his life, due to his constant chanting, he will be transferred to the kingdom of God. Yoga practice is meditation on the super soul within. Similarly, by chanting Hare Krishna, one fixes his mind always on the Supreme Lord. The mind is fickle, and therefore it is necessary to engage the mind by force to think of Krishna. One example often given is that of the caterpillar that thinks of becoming a butterfly and so is transformed into a butterfly in the same life. Similarly, if we constantly think of Krishna, it is certain that at the end of our lives, we shall have the same bodily constitution as Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So whomever, like we mentioned, na, this is just we explained that, right? Whomever we are able to think of, whomever we talk about, whoever lives, like for example, some people follow Karishma Kapoor or Kareena Kapoor or whoever is a heroine. What do they wear? What do they go? Where do they, which beauty parlor they go? What cosmetics they use? What oil they use? Whatever, right? Which shop they purchase their clothes, etc. Right? Which brand they purchase, etc., etc. Right? The more we know about a particular person, more we want to spend time knowing about a particular person, we will become that person conscious. Right? We will dress like them. We will wear the same clothes as them, etc., etc. So unconsciously, what is happening in our mind? We are becoming Kareena Kapoor conscious. Do we want to become Kareena Kapoor conscious or Krishna conscious? We want to become Krishna conscious, right? So we are very careful what we are getting attracted to. And even I'm not saying that we give up total we don't want to be fashion conscious, or we should not wear nice dresses, or we should not do makeup, or right? We have to be presentable when we go to office, right? But we don't want to invest so much time in it that it is like nicely polishing the cage, but not giving enough adequate time to the bird to feed it, right? So we are conscious, we are living in this world, so we can be in this world, but we need not be of this world, right? Padma Patra Ivambasa, right? That's what Krishna tells Arjuna. You fight, but you remember me. What does it mean? You don't worry about whether you are going to get killed or whether you are going to kill them. You just do your best, right? And when we are shielded by chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, 1.5 hours, 2 hours in the morning, then our whole day is protected. When we are going also, when we are leaving home for the office also, we pray to the Lord, right? I am going for a war, right, against Maya. Please help me with it so that I can take the right decisions. Please help me so that I be able to remain conscious of you, O Lord, throughout today, like that. So when you make the prayer to the Lord, by Lord's mercy, we'll be able to, succeed in remembering the Lord in whatever we are doing, right? And sometimes we get carried away also. That's why it's also I don't know, I don't very practice it very regularly, but I always want to do it. That we need to maintain a journal at the end of the day before going to sleep. We note down, where all we have faltered in our remembrance, right? Where all we engaged in sense gratification. Okay, today I had pani puri. I could have come back home and had prasadam, right? We note it down, no, not to punish ourselves, but to know that yes, it can happen, right? So, and how frequently it happens also tells us and gives us so many ways to introspect whether are we becoming progressing in our bhakti or not, right? The number of times we said we were able to say no, that also you can write it down. Today I was so tempted, but I didn't have, right? So those things also help us to say a no the next time. Of course, we are all practicing sadhakas, right? It's not that we have to be so perfectionist always. We beat ourselves up. No, that is not required. But however, we need to introspect. Basically, Radhesham Prabhu says we have to introspect every Ekadashi. How has been my last 15 days? Have I become a better devotee? Do I have a better taste in hearing? Do I have a better taste in studying Srila Prabhupada's books? Do I have a better taste to hear Krishna Katha? Right? Then, in that way, be able to measure our progress, right? So yeah, each one of us can have our own ways of how we want to monitor ourselves, but ultimately we want to progress. We don't want to be stagnant. We cannot be stagnant. Either we are progressing or we are receding. We are going back in spiritual life. So we need to constantly monitor ourselves. All right. So let's move ahead. Yeah. Okay. Prabhupada makes a very wonderful point here. The mind is fickle, and therefore it is necessary to engage the mind by force to think of Krishna, right? We all are chanting Hare Krishna mantra in the morning. Sometimes there is very, very wonderful taste. We want to chant 20 rounds. Especially it happens on Ekadashi days. Tomorrow is Ekadashi, right? Tomorrow is 4th, right? So today only when I have in my mind that tomorrow is Ekadashi, I have to chant 64 rounds. Then it becomes very easy to chant 64 rounds tomorrow because your mind is already tuned to it, right? I've told my mind tomorrow is Ekadashi, you need to chant 64 rounds. Then it becomes easy to chant. But on a normal day, suddenly I decide in the afternoon, okay, let me do chant 32 rounds more. Then will I be able to chant? No, my mind will tell, oh, you have to do this work, you have to do that work, that will get pending, this will not happen, like that, right? So the more we plan to execute our spiritual activities, the more our mind is tamed and under control. Right? That is why the night before going to sleep also, we tell our mind, tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up at 3 o'clock. I'm going to wake up at 3:30. and then I'm going to take bath, and then I'm going to do the Brahma Murta chanting, right? I'm going to hear the Brahma Murta japa talk. I'm going to do the Brahma Murta chanting. Then this is my schedule for tomorrow. I'm going to do at least 1 hour of hearing, at least 1 hour of study of Prabhupada's books, right? Then all this is fixed. Then we feel guilty if we don't do. But if we don't plan at all, then the mind will tell, "Arey, ek din nahi karenge to chalega." And then we also will tend to believe, ek din nahi karenge to kya hoga? It's okay, right? And then slowly the guilt also will go. One day, what happens? 2 days, what happens? 3 days, it's okay. From tomorrow, I will do. Right? And then it becomes like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're not even feeling guilty. Arey, hafte mein ek baar karenge, chalega na? It's okay. Where is the time? We have only 24 hours. Like that, right? So everybody has only 24 hours. So if you plan and tune our mind to what am I supposed to do, then at least we will feel guilty if we don't do it. Right? We don't do it on one day. Next day we'll ensure that we'll make up for the previous day and do it on that day. At least that much we should try and endeavor. Right? Of course, we are grahasthas. There may be some days which are very exhausting where we're not able to do 1 hour of hearing, 1 hour of reading, etc. But at least, like I mentioned in the sadhaka, in the daily reporting group also, those of you are part of that group, right? At least 10 minutes we should do. How much ever we are tired, at least something I have gone beyond my ability for the pleasure of the Lord. 10 minutes of reading, 10 minutes of hearing. Even if nothing happens before going to sleep, just take a book of Prabhupada and just read 10 minutes, 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs, and we can contemplate on that as we sleep. And the next day morning, we think that, okay, I have to wake up early in the morning and chant my rounds. Okay, so let's quickly move forward. 8.9. Okay, who will read this? Subbarao Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Please read, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Danda Pranam.
Yes, Prabhu.
Kavim Purana Manusasitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmaredha Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Adityavarnam Tamasah Parastat. Kavim, the one who knows everything. Puranam, the oldest. Sitaram, the controller. No. Than the atom. Aniyamsam, that is smaller. Anusmaret, always think of. Yeah, one who. Sarvasya, of everything. Dhataram, the maintainer. Achintya, inconceivable. Rupam, whose form. Aditya Varnam, luminous like the sun. And Tamasaha, to darkness. Parastat, transcendental. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. Therefore, Jai Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. The process of thinking of Supreme is mentioned in this verse. The foremost point is that he is not impersonal or void. One cannot meditate on something impersonal or void. That is very difficult. The process of thinking of Krishna, however, is very easy and is factually stated here. First of all, the Lord is Purusha, the person. We think of the person Rama and the person Krishna. And whether one thinks of Rama or Krishna, what he is like is described in this verse of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is Kavi. That is, he knows past, present, and future, and therefore knows everything. He is the oldest personality because he is the origin of everything. Everything is born out of him. He is also the supreme controller of the universe, and he is the maintainer and instructor of humanity. He is smaller than the smallest.
the living entity is 1/10,000th part of the tip of hair. But the Lord is so inconceivably small that he enters into the heart of this particular particle. Therefore, he is called smaller than the smallest. As a supreme, he can enter into the atom and into the heart of the smallest and control him as the super soul. Although so small, he is still all pervading and is maintaining everything. By him, all the planetary systems are sustained. We often wonder how these big planets are floating in the air. It is stated here that the Supreme Lord, by his inconceivable energy, is sustaining all these big planets and systems of galaxies. The word achintya, inconceivable, is very significant in this connection. God's energy is beyond our conception, beyond our thinking jurisdiction, and is therefore called inconceivable achintya. Who can argue this point? He pervades this material world and it is beyond it. We cannot comprehend even this material world, which is insignificant compared to the spiritual world. So how can we comprehend what is beyond? Achintya means that which is beyond this material world, that which our argument, logic, philosophical speculation cannot touch, that which is inconceivable. Therefore, intelligent persons, avoiding useless argument and speculation, should accept what is stated in scriptures like Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam, and follow the principles they set down. This Krishna, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna Mata, thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much. So, in this way, Prabhupada is saying that the Lord's energy, right? The Lord's energy is beyond our conception. We cannot understand the Lord by our own material senses, right? What is that? Anya, no. Sevon Mukehi Jivado Swayameva Suratyadaha. Atha Sri Krishna Namadi Na Bhavet Grahim Indriyahi. We cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by our own endeavor, by our own mental speculation, by our own chanting process, by our own study of the Bhagavad Gita, by our own study of the Bhagavatam. We may do all of it and yet don't understand anything. Why is that possible? How is that possible? Because we are studying Bhagavad Gita only, right? But what is our consciousness in studying Bhagavad Gita? Do we have the intention to follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita? If that was the intention, then we will go to a bona fide guru and try to understand Bhagavad Gita. And then we will try to apply it in our life. In that way, what happens when we ask, it is very difficult to understand because it's achintya, it is very inconceivable how something can be same and also different, right? We have to give up attachment to the results, but we have to do our work, right? Ordinarily, if we say, don't be attached to work, that means what do we do? Okay, we'll give up work, right? We'll simply laze around or sleep, right? If we don't get any results for the work, what is the use of that work? Why I should waste my time, isn't it? That will be our understanding. If we study Bhagavad Gita on our own, okay, karma nivadhikarasya mafaleshu kadachana, okay, I should do my work. I should not even expect any result. Why I should do the work? Let me sleep. I will take rest. Then what happens? That is not the understanding. Then a person who really wants to know, what is this? Why should I not expect any result? Then one goes into understanding. I am not the only doer. I am only desiring. But there are factors beyond my control because of which work is getting executed. And by doing the work itself is a purification. It helps me evolve. It helps me better understand how to remember the Lord. And ultimately, I am going to have to go back home, back to Godhead. All of these things become clear when we ask a bona fide devotee and take their association. So, this achintya, very, very difficult to understand for anybody who just reads Bhagavad Gita, right? When you just read, you think you understood the entire Bhagavad Gita, right? That's why, yeah, you know, in South India, you go and distribute Bhagavad Gita, they say, I have Bhagavad Gita. You don't try to give me Bhagavad Gita. We know Krishna. We know everything in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? And then what is it that Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita? Krishna says, do your work. Don't be attached to the result. That's not the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. But typically, anybody who asks that, they tell that is only the conclusion. So they become so much workaholic. I don't know if they follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and do it, but they are at work from morning 9 o'clock to night 12 o'clock. They come only to sleep. And even they don't, Prabhupada also tells in one lecture, they don't even have their meals properly. You know, nice hot food, you know, having nice Krishna conscious prasadam, hot, that itself is a luxury, isn't it? Those are all small joys in life you should experience. As a TV then you know, stress is there, so much there, work is there, oh, I have a meeting, I don't have time to eat, I can't sleep also properly, I have to take sleeping pills to go to sleep, because tomorrow morning that submission is there, I have not done. So much anxiety, right? What is the use? Even if you get millions of dollars, is it worth? Right? Because it's going to hamper your body, your mind, causing so much of stress. What is the use? Right? Tada Kim, like that Shankaracharya says. What is the use of so much anxiety? Right? You know, this world cannot give you eternal happiness. Right? It's not that we should not endeavor. We should endeavor, but we should not over endeavor. If we over endeavor and we want quick results, then only we resort to various means by which we can get more money, we can get promotion very easily, we can surpass. And all of this we do. Why? Because we are not aware of the facts of the Bhagavad Gita. Right? So practically, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to do our duty according to our inclinations, according to our capacity, according to the resources that we have. Whatever we are able to do, we do it to the best of our ability. Like His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj says, work sincerely, earn with integrity, and spend with compassion. Right? If you have these three principles, I earn with integrity, I work with sincerity, I don't try to jump over another person, I don't try to steal another person's what he's supposed to get, I don't try to do all that. I'm not anxious, I do my work, and then I also spend with compassion. Right? The returns that we get of our hard-earned work, when we give it to as charity, when we give as donation to the temple, then to that extent we become detached. Right? That is what we want to cultivate. Right? Somehow, suddenly, one day we will not become attached to Krishna, that we will give up everything to Krishna, isn't it? Slowly and steadily, we have to keep giving things for Krishna. So, and consciously we have to do it, whether we are not able to, whether we don't want to do it also. Right? Sometimes during festivals, they ask, give donations, you know, contribute towards the dresses of the deities, like that. So that time we have to make a contribution. Right? Ekadashi, you do book distribution, contribute towards, you know, Shastra Dhan. When we do that, then to that extent we will develop detachment, because the money, whatever we are getting, that is also given by Krishna. And anybody who does not offer the food or the money back to the Lord, but rather tries to enjoy it himself, he is a thief. Right? Because what is given to us is given by the Lord. We use it for the service of the Lord. We accept what is required for the maintenance of our body, and then the extra whatever we have, we, like Rupa Goswami, kept a little bit amount for emergency, kept a little bit for his personal use. The rest all he gave charity to the Brahmanas, to Vaishnavas, isn't it? So in that way, there is no anxiety. Actually, I remember in Srila Prabhupada, the Leelamrita, one person came. Oh, Swamiji, that time they used to call Prabhupada Swamiji. Swamiji, I have so many factories. My mind is so much in anxiety. Swamiji, tell me something. How can I get peace of mind? And then Prabhupada said, okay, give all your factories to me. We will run it. Then you will be free of anxiety. And that person ran away. Next day onwards, he was not seen only. Right? So sometimes we want to be relieved of all our anxiety, but we are not willing to do what it takes. Right? We are not in that frame of mind. So we can talk a lot of things, but then to the extent that we can assimilate and we can put into practice, we should be able to do. Right? It's not possible to give up all the factories, but it is possible to give 10% of the returns. Right? In that way, when we give to Lord, the Lord will give us the intelligence, how we can tackle the situations. Right? Otherwise, by our own intelligence, we will only work, and then we will just get into more and more of anxiety. Okay, 10.10. This will be the last verse for today. Okay, I see 5 hands up. Subbarao Prabhu read. Sindhu Mataji, Rajneesh Prabhu, Deval Mataji. Okay, Karpavali Mataji. Okay, very nice. Okay, maybe we'll do 1 or 2 verses more. Okay, let's read the next one. Sindhu Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji. Pranams.
In the translation, what can be read by Rajneesh Prabhu? Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Okay, only sloka or full verse, Mataji?
Sloka, synonyms and translation.
Okay. Text 10. Prayana kale manasa chalena bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva pruvor madhye pranam aveshya samyak satam param purusham upaiti divyam. Synonyms. Prayana kale, at the time of death, manasa, by the mind, achalena, without its being deviated, bhaktya, in full devotion, Yuktaha engaged yoga balena by the power of mystic yoga. Cha also eva certainly. Pruvoho, the two eyebrows, madhye between pranam, the life air, aveshya establishing, samyak completely, saha he, tam that, param transcendental, purusham personality of Godhead, upaiti achieves, divyam in the spiritual kingdom. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who at that time fixes his life air between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an deviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, thank you. Rajneesh Prabhu, please go ahead with the purport.
Hare Krishna Mata.
Hare
In
Krishna
this
Prabhu.
verse, it is clearly stated that at the time of death, the mind must be fixed in devotion to the personality of Godhead. For those practiced in yoga, it is recommended that they raise the life force between the eyebrows to the Agni Chakra. The practice of Sat Chakra Yoga involving meditation on the six chakras is suggested here. A pure devotee does not practice such yoga, but because he is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, he is always engaged in Krishna consciousness at the death. At death, he can remember the supreme personality of Godhead by his grace. This is explained in verse 40.
Particular
The
use of the word.
particular use of the word yoga, balina, is significant in this verse because without practice of yoga, whether Sat Chakra yoga or Bhakti yoga, one cannot come to this transcendental state of being at the time of death. One cannot suddenly remember the Supreme Lord at death. One must have practiced some yoga system, especially the system of Bhakti yoga. Since one's mind at death is very disturbed, one should practice transcendence through yoga during one's life. Hare
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yeah, the other day we were reading, right? How Maharaja Kuleshekar, what does he praise? Let me die now when my mind is fixed upon you, O Lord. Because at the time of death, Kapha, Vata, Pitta are all imbalanced. I'm not able to think of anything. I'm not conscious of anything. So at that time, if I die, I will not be able to think of the Lord. Let me die right now. Because now I'm able to think of the lotus feet of the Lord, my service to the Lord, and I'm having darshan of the beautiful lotus face of the Lord. So let me die right now. Right? So that is the mood of a devotee, that he always wants to remember Krishna throughout his life as a service to the Lord. And then in that way, he is able to remember the Lord even at the time of death. And that is a formula that's given by Lord Krishna. How we can remember Krishna at the time of death. Right? And other things are not practical in this age. That, we make this focus on in between the eyebrows. Right? Then we probably will be thinking of the beauty parlor where we probably did our eyebrows or whatever. And we'll be thinking of the conversations that happened there in the beauty parlor. Right? So the mind will drag us here and there. So this is not for Kali Yuga. So what we do, simply Prabhupada says in some places, what is the use of the mind? You simply chant and you simply hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Right? So don't worry about anything. So in this way, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, as many times as we are doing other work also, beyond our 16 rounds, we are at liberty to chant all the time, 24 hours. Right? Namna Makari Bahuda, Nija Sarva Shaktish, Tatrarpita Niyamita Samaranena Kala. There are no niyam, there is no time, there is no place, there is no circumstance. And we cannot chant Hare Krishna. We can chant Hare Krishna even in the bathroom. Right? We simply, of course, we cannot take the beads to the bathroom and chant now from tomorrow. Right? We're not supposed to take the beads because the beads are pure in themselves. Right? And those beads are helping us chant Hare Krishna. But the holy name in itself is pure. So there's one pastime also. There was a boy called Gopal. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told, I went and asked this Gopal, right? What should I do? Even when I go for my nature's call, I'm not able to stop chanting the name of Krishna. And then this Gopal, small boy, this Gopal is telling, what if you leave your body at the time of passing stool? Then what will happen? Then he told that you should remember Krishna even when we are passing stool. Why? Because anytime we can leave our body. right? And in that way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorified that boy and called him Gopal Guru, right? Because you are my Guru, right? You told me that there is no place, there is no time, there is no circumstance when I cannot chant the holy names of the Lord. I can chant Hare Krishna any time of the day, whether inside the house, outside the house, whether cooking or whether sleeping, whether I am taking bath, whether I am whatever I am doing, right? I should always think of the Lord, chant His holy names, especially in this age of Kali. That is a prescribed method for remembering Krishna. If you have to remember Krishna, you have to call out the name of Krishna. We have to chant the names of Krishna. Okay, well, let's take the last verse for today. Share screen. Yeah. So last verse, text number 11. Karpakavali Mataji, please read the verse and the synonyms and translation. Deval Mataji can read the purport. Okay, let's see how big is the purport. I can see one more. Hema Mataji's hand up. Okay. Okay, fine.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mataji Dandatnam.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Yad
Aksharam Vedavido Vedanti. Yadaksharam Vedavido Vedanti. Veshanti Yatyato Vitaraga Ikshado Brahma Karyam Charanti. Ikshado Brahma Karyam Tate Padam Sankrene Pravikshay. Synonyms. Yet that which Aksharam syllable Om. Veda Vidya, persons conversant with the Vedas. Vedanti say Visanti enter, yet in which Yataya, great sages, Vitaraha, in the renounced order of life, Yat, that which Ikshantaha, deciding, Brahma Karyam, celibacy, Charanti, practice, that they unto you, Padam, situation, Sangrahane, in summary, Pravekshe, I shall explain. Translation: the persons who are learned in Vedas, who uttered Omkara, and who are great sages in their own order, enter into Brahman. Descend such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Purport: Lord Krishna has recommended to Arjuna the practice of Satchakra Yoga, in which.
To read the purport, right? We have like.
Thank you.
Yeah. Deval Mataji can read the first paragraph, Hema Mataji second paragraph, and then we'll end. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Shri Krishna has recommended to Arjuna the practice of Sat Chakra Yoga, in which one places the air of life between the eyebrows. Taking it for granted that Arjuna might not know how to practice Sat Chakra Yoga, the Lord explains the process in the following verses. The Lord says that Brahman, although one without a second, has various manifestations and features. Especially for the impersonalist, the Akshara or Omkara, the syllable Om, is identical with Brahman. Krishna here explains the impersonal Brahman into which the renounced order of sages enter. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Dhanat Pranam.
Thank you. Who else? Hema Mataji, where is your hand now? Are you there? Yeah, Hema Mataji, go ahead. Vedic system of knowledge.
System of knowledge, students from the very beginning are taught to vibrate Om and learn of the ultimate impersonal Brahman by living with the spiritual master in complete celibacy. In this way, they realize two of Brahman's features. This practice is very essential for the student's advancement in spiritual. But at the moment, such brahmachari, unmarried celebrate life is not at all possible. The social construction of the world has changed so much that there is no possibility of one's practicing celibacy from the beginning of student life. Throughout the world, there are many institutions or institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no recognized institution where students can be educated in the brahmachari principles. Unless one practice celibacy, advancement in spiritual life is very difficult. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has announced according to the spiritual injunctions of the age of that this age, no process of realizing the Sutra is possible except the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Yeah. So Prabhupada is clearly telling what is not possible in this age of Kali. It is not possible to focus on the tip of the eyebrows. Not possible to go to the forest. Why? Because we don't have the intelligence to understand the scriptures and follow it thoroughly. Right? In this Kali Yuga, we all have Prayana Alpayusha Sabya, Kalovasmin Yuge Janaha, Manda Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya Upadrataha. They're all Manda. They're all lazy, misguided, foolish, quarrelsome, and whatnot. Right? So how are we going to understand all these Vedic scriptures? How are we going to practice celibacy? Right? With all of this, not possible. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Mahavadanyaya avatar, he has come and given us Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's why Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Namaiva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyeva, 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 Gatir Anyata. In this age of Kali, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way other than the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to attain the desired success of Krishna Prema. So it's very, very wonderful that simply by chanting, we'll attain the same destination that a yogi of the Satya Yuga attained by meditation, a person in Treta Yuga attained by what do you call yajnas, by performing yajnas, a person in Dwapar Yuga attained by worshipping the deities. The same benefit is attained by somebody simply sitting in the comforts of one's home, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, continuously all the time, always remembering the Lord. So in this way, Krishna is giving us so many ways, and Prabhupada is reiterating in his purports how it is possible to always think of the Lord, never forget the Lord as we are living. At the time of death, we'll be able to remember the Lord by the Lord's own grace. Hare Krishna. So with this, we will end our today's session. So we will continue from verse number 12 in our next Monday. Today is Friday. So tomorrow is Saturday, but tomorrow is Ekadashi. So tomorrow we will have our session 12:30 to 1:45. Yeah. So I request devotees to join us at our usual time tomorrow. Of course, Ekadashi days, Madhavatiti, Bhakti Janani, Jetana, Palana Kori. If we simply follow these wonderful days like Ekadashi, we'll automatically become recipients of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I urge all of you, join us at 5 a.m. for Brahma Murta chanting, then at 12:30 p.m. to about 1.5 hours, 1 hour 45 minutes for Harinam Sankirtan, chanting of one round of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, study of teachings of Lord Chaitanya, study of Bhagavad Gita. So in this way, we try to remember the Lord more on wonderful days like Ekadashi. So with that, we will end our session for today. If devotees have any questions or queries, you may raise your hands. We will do a quick 2-minute Harinam Sankirtan and then we'll come back to you for queries if any. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Punyavadi Bhattacharya Sadarine Jai Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Guru Parampara, Jaya Sat Goswami, Jaya Prabhupada, Gurudev Nitai, Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. हरिगवति पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा। Yeah, Sindhu, sorry, Rohini Mataji, you have a question?
Mataji, regarding that pleasing Lord, this is a personal question. Mataji, we have a sweet tooth. So now the Lord, what is happening is, I feel like eating, so I'll cook it and I'll offer it to the Lord and I'll eat it. So in this way, isn't this self-satisfaction, Mataji? I mean, how is it like I'm doing it for the Lord?
You can make sweets, offer it to the Lord, and then distribute it to your neighbors. If you offer prasadam to your neighbors, that is a greater satisfaction because the Lord will be more pleased. In that way, you keep one or two for yourself and distribute everything else to your neighbors, to the watchman, to the servant maid who comes to your home. Distribute so that you are not tempted. At the same time, you offered sweets to the Lord. At the same, you also had one or two, and then you also distributed sweets to the people and even them Krishna Prasadam. That way you can do. So whenever you want to make, do like that. Offer it to the Lord and distribute it. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, Karpagali Mataji.
Mataji, that mind is fickle, that sentence, please kindly explain it, Mataji. On purpose is there, no mind.
Krishna, Ramati Balabhadradam, Tasyaham Nigraham Manye, Vayuriva Shudushkaram. So the mind is known to be Chanchalam. Like Lakshmi Devi, she also does not remain with one person for long. Right? Somebody may be rich for some time, but after that, something else happens and Lakshmi Devi leaves. Right? The only place Lakshmi Devi is eternally always present is the lotus feet of Lord Narayan. So similarly, Lakshmi Devi is money, right? So when we are continuously running behind money, what happens? The mind is running behind money. The money is running behind Lord Narayan. So when we focus our mind on Narayan, focus our mind on serving Narayan, Lakshmi Devi will automatically follow. And when Lakshmi Devi and Lord Narayan know that we know the proper utility of money and we use the Lakshmi in the service of the Lord, then there will be so much opportunities that the mind is also controlled. Why? Because we are getting all the resources required to serve the Lord. So our mind also does not run behind, I want this, only then I can do devotions, I want this, I want this. So all our wants get curtailed and our mind can focus, only a peaceful mind can even focus on chanting Hare Krishna. Otherwise the mind is running here and there. So Nitai Semi Mataji was telling in one class that the mind of course wanders, but at least you should keep a circumference within which the mind, we allow the mind also to wander a little bit. Just like a mother who's talking to a devotee, but her eyes are always on her toddler who's running around within the gate. But the child, whenever reaches the gate of the compound wall, then immediately she tells the devotee, 1 second, I'll be back. Right? She runs, picks up the child, brings him inside the compound wall, leaves him to play, then comes back and talks to that Mataji or Prabhuji. In that way, we can allow a certain levy of the mind as long as we are within the ambit of devotional service. When the mind goes haywire, then you have to bring the mind back. Right? Pramati Balavadridam. It's not easy. The mind is strong, the mind is obstinate, the mind is more stronger than an elephant. Pramati Balavadridam. Then with practice, Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena chujyate. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, by practice and detachment, you will be able to control the mind. Okay, Mataji? Okay, Hema Mataji, you have anything?
Thank you, Dandatpranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandatpranam. Hema Mataji, is your hand up for reading?
No, Mataji.
Oh, you have a question?
No, Mataji. Sorry, Mataji.
Okay, thanks. Sridhar Prabhu, you have anything to say?
Sorry, Mataji. By mistake it was.
No. It's okay.
Yes, Mataji, I wanted to share one this thing. As you mentioned in the MM office Maran Bhavam, that I come across this experience. My uncle, who has written this Raghava Kavyam, more than 10,000 slokas, up to 65, 70 years, he has done the same work only. When he started memory loss at the age of 75, he could not able to recall anything. Only she was calling my wife's name only. As you mentioned, like Kulshagar Alvar, only that recurring deposit may help him in the later also. Not only him, I have seen 4 or 5 persons who are in the age of 80 years or 80 pluses, they will lose memory. And will they, what is the other solution? Only this is the solution of calling in the early stage when we are having memory, or as it is there. Have you come across this experience? Because people who are reaching 84, 85 and all, memory loss and this amnesia, and it is the intensity will going on only. It never rectified that mistakes also. This I had experience in humans also. I come across these doctors also. They are telling that this thing, amnesia will go on only, that memory loss will not come down like that, they told. Any experience you are having or any suggestion you are telling, or we have to chant only when we are having memory, that stages only. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, you can put, oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, both the mics were on, I guess. Yeah, so I was just saying that, you can just put Prabhupada's tape chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. They can keep hearing, right? When the more they hear, they'll be able to remember. Even if they don't not able to remember, they can simply continuously keep hearing. You can keep the Prabhupada chanting tape on through 24 hours of the day, right? I know of a devotee around 70 plus. She could not remember anything except her guru's name and Krishna's name, because she had spent 40-50 years of her. She could not remember the name of her husband. She could not remember the name of her child. She could not remember where she's from. She could not remember anything, but she only remembered her guru's name and Krishna's name, right? So that is the only thing she remembered. So in that way, Krishna will mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Krishna will give us remembrance. Krishna will give us forgetfulness. Krishna will give us whatever is necessary for us to go back to him, provided we have done our homework. When we are fit and fine, when we are healthy, we are remembering the Lord will reciprocate with us. We have to have that faith in the Lord, right? And whatever the Lord does, even if the Lord gives forgetfulness, right? I was hearing in one lecture, if we were to remember that I was a pig in the last life and eating hog, I was eating stool, how will we feel? We will feel so despicable ourselves, isn't it? Oh, I was a pig. One thing is theoretical, yes. We go through the evolution, we were pigs. If we actually were to remember what we were doing in the life of a pig, right? We will hardly be able to come to terms with it, right? So some amount of forgetfulness also Krishna gives, so that we can sensibly use at least this human form of life in serving the Lord and go back to Godhead. So whatever the Lord gives is accepted as a mercy of the Lord. And whatever I am, however I am in the present condition, whatever condition is Krishna has kept me in this situation, how can I best serve the Lord? If that is the attitude of a devotee, then Krishna is completely pleased. And then Krishna will give what is necessary, whether it is remembrance or forgetfulness or whatever it may be. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thanks. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granth Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Okay, I'm not seeing all the devotees. I'm seeing our usual devotees, Sridhar Prabhu and Rohini Mataji and Harjeet Mataji. Okay, Rajneesh Prabhu, I can see now. Shobha Mataji. Shobha Mataji generally keeps her camera on. Today, Mataji went into hibernation. Okay, Garpagavali Mataji, Anjana Mataji. Oh, thank you. We want to thank Shri Varshabhanavi Mataji. Thank you for joining us. Mataji has joined us for the first time today. Very grateful to you, Mataji, for joining us. All right, so the other devotees are shy today. They don't want to give us their darshan. So thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nitai God Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. So tomorrow we meet at 5 o'clock for Brahma Murta chanting, and 12:30 tomorrow is Ekadashi. Let's take a sankalpa today before going to sleep. I'm going to chant 64 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra tomorrow. Beg for the mercy of the Lord. The Lord will empower us to chant 64 rounds or 128 rounds. It's just somebody chanted 128 rounds in the group. Right? We get inspired by such devotees, and then we also try to do our best in the service of Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Dhanat pranams to all.